What's going on, everybody? It's the Boxman Source checking in, and I'm here with my guy, the leader of Salita Promotions, Mr. Dmitriy Salita. What's going on, man?
How you doing? Great to be on with you again, and as always.
Gotcha. See that you're, on the move. Of course, you've been busy a lot. A lot of things have been going on, over the past few weeks or so. And, we're just going to catch up on a few things here, man. Wanted to start off with the Detroit Brawl boxing series that did happen over this previous weekend. Just talk about that a little bit and, how that went down.
Fantastic show. Just had top talent at every level of development, and fantastic crowd, great energy. In the main event, Eric De Leon, probably the best fighter from Detroit, had a bit of a hiatus due to injuries and COVID, and made his ring return vis-a-vis a first round sensational knockout. Looked really sharp. Very proud of him and had tremendous support. And then I believe the best light heavyweight in the world, Ali Ismailov, 7-0, fought a fellow fighter who was 7-0, and just dismantled him from the beginning. Showed tremendous control, tremendous power, boxing skills, defense, jab. Really incredible. Timur Karafov, undefeated middleweight prospect, and scored a really spectacular second round knockout. And one of my young prospects, Joshua Pagan, national champion from Grand Rapids, Michigan, had his second professional win vis-a-vis a first round knockout. And boxing fans can go to the Detroit Brawl YouTube page and check out all these fights.
Gotcha. Yeah. So those, that are tuning in here, you could check out the thing with the Detroit Brawl YouTube page to check out all of those fights. It was pretty much a packed card there. I think it was about six fights on that card. And pretty much like all but one of those fights ended in a knockout or a stoppage victory. So that was,
exactly.
Good thing there, and, we're probably likely going to see about more of these Detroit Brawl boxing series coming up here over the course of the year, so definitely check that out.
Definitely. I think it's one, I think it's, these shows don't have a TV partner as of yet. And I think this is the most, maybe the only, and maybe kind of the most interesting, consistent boxing series in the country. And not only is it showcasing some of the best fighters from the state of Michigan, Detroit, and from around the country and around the world, it's also rebuilding boxing in Detroit, which obviously has a very rich history of champions and of great fighters. And, very happy to be doing that here locally and developing the fighters and showing boxing fans world-class boxing on a consistent basis.
Yeah, that's a key thing right there is, you have these fighters coming in different levels of their professional careers, and you're able to develop them, whether they're, either pro debut 1-0, 2-0, or like 16-0, or, like with Eric De Leon, who has about 21 professional fights where, they kind of hone their boxing skills. They have, good or great opponents that they could, match up with, and then they'll be able to see about being successful. And then after that, they'll be able to, move forward, either, going into another one of those bouts that's within like the boxing series or much bigger fights in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And and you have the young fighters like Joshua Pagan and Joseph Hicks, who's a U.S. Olympic team captain. And, they're going to be developing on the series from their pro debuts, really. And it's very important for boxing fans and the boxing media to form a relationship with these fighters, because that'll last career long. And, sometimes you have first round knockouts. Sometimes you have split decisions. Sometimes, you get a headbutt. I'm talking about your progression through the ranks. So these are all different stages and different steps that most fighters take on their path to the top. And when they build a fan base and they develop locally, they establish an intimate relationship with the boxing fans, with the boxing media, so they don't just come back to town when they fight for the world title, but boxing fans really witness their progression and are part of that growth. So I think that's very important. And we see that a lot with different basketball teams and baseball teams, even though the players change and don't quite, may not resemble an individual that someone followed, but the team slogan, the team logo, the city that it represents, forms that relationship, and that's what we're trying to do. Somewhat we're trying to do with this Detroit Brawl series.
Yeah, and one thing that I often bring up is like with boxing, sometimes you have the most accessible athletes in this particular sense in the sport of boxing because they're at many times right there where their fans could just reach out to them and talk to them or interact with them. And having like series like that with the Detroit Brawl boxing series, you have these fighters that could appear in these things 1, 2, 3 times where they could build up a following, and then they have a loyal fan base. So that's definitely one of the things that you get from this particular program or series.
Sure, and also there's a lot of boxing celebrities, so to say, in town, like Tom Boom Boom Johnson, Cornelius Bundridge, Tommy Hearns, and some of them, attend our shows. So boxing fans can shake hands, take pictures, talk to them about their glory days, and that makes it much more of a complete experience for boxing fans. And in other sports, you can't just. It's very, very, very. It's very challenging to walk into a gym, into let's say a baseball stadium or a football stadium or a basketball court, and shoot hoops with I don't know, LeBron James, let's say, or anyone else is playing in the NBA. But in a boxing gym, you can walk into a super bad boxing gym, which is located in Detroit where Tony Harrison trains, and you can take a picture with Tony Harrison and talk to him and feel that he's a real human being and see him train. And this type of stuff happens all across the country, all across the world. And boxing is very accessible, and boxers are very humble athletes, and it's a very communal sport as well, because the fact that people from the community can just walk into the gym and interact, and kids can see these different fighters work hard and get to a certain point, is very beneficial, not only for boxing fans, but really for the positive energy in the community, in any community.
Yeah, gotcha.
And certainly that's so important for Detroit with all the challenge that has gone through in these recent years. So, I really believe that these boxing, that the boxing program that we do has kind of multi-layered benefits.
Gotcha. And, like you said, there with the accessible athletes, it's not like fans over there in Detroit could like walk in the Ford Field and be right there with Jared Goff or somebody there with the Detroit Lions, but they could, like you said, go into the gym there and meet up with Tony Harrison and chop it up with him and take pictures of him and stuff like that. And actually, he's about to be in a big fight here this coming weekend. Too on April 9th too.
He's fighting this weekend, and I've seen him train for this camp. He trained very hard with his brother LJ, who's a great trainer. Also trains Alicia Baumgartner, and I think Tony's gonna have a great performance.
Yeah, I think he's against Sergio Garcia as part of that card with Lubin versus Fundora as the main event that's supposed to be over there in Las Vegas there too. So there's that. One other thing I wanted to move into, I know that you manage multiple fighters. We had something that went down over the past weekend, reference to one of your star fighters there, that is Clarissa Shields, multi-division undisputed champion. I know that Savannah Marshall had her fight, and she was able to win by knockout, but they had a face-to-face confrontation. And I think it was like a couple days after we kind of like heard from Matchroom Boxing's Eddie Hearn, who feels very confident in Savannah Marshall being favored over Clarissa Shields, and basically saying that Clarissa doesn't have the power to defeat Savannah Marshall. But we've like talked over the years multiple times over. It's a whole different level when you're facing the competition that Savannah Marshall has faced and what Clarissa Shields has faced. Like, for example, in Shields' debut, she fought Franchon Cruz-Cezern, who on April 30th is going to be fighting for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world, which Clarissa Shields. So kind of like going to those comments, if you've heard or seen snippets of Eddie Hearn's comments in reference to Savannah Marshall and Claressa Shields.
So the reason why this is such a great fight and such a great global event is because you have folks at two different sides, certainly in the UK, as an example of Eddie, that feel that Savannah is going to win, and people that saw Clarissa develop to the pro ranks in the United States and all over the world, feel strongly that Clarissa is going to win. And these are two fighters at the peak of their careers. And it's going to be a tremendous event that's going to transcend the sport of boxing. It's going to be, I believe, one of the biggest fights of all time, like Ali versus George Foreman, like Ali versus Joe Frazier, Madison Square Garden, like Leonard Hearns. It's going to be a tremendous cultural event. And, boxing projects many things in society. Somehow, through the sport of boxing, it's messaged in the strongest possible way. And I believe this fight is for women's equality, women's empowerment that transcends beyond the sport of boxing. And I'm very honored and happy to be involved with this event. As for Eddie, I'm not sure why Eddie's commenting on this because he really has nothing to do with this fight. He's not Clarissa's promoter and he's not Savannah's promoter. So I guess he's doing it because maybe because he has Savannah, maybe because he's trying to get on her good side. I'm not sure why he's doing it. But, the great thing about the sport of boxing is that everybody can voice their opinion and the truth will set you free, which is what will happen in the ring in the very near future.
So the truth will be settled in the ring there. And, like we talked about with that multi-fight deal with a boxer that, has Clarissa Shields with multi-figures when it comes to money there. And, of course, with Clarissa Shields, she's very vocal and she did, respond to Eddie Hearn saying that if he's very confident, then he might as well see if you could bet a house on the fight since he feels like he's that confident there. But I know that, Clarissa Shields is, in a way, I think that she's kind of like been waiting for this particular moment since she started her professional career. She's had, all of her accolades, like I mentioned before, a multi-division undisputed champion, undefeated, beat multiple world-class athletes in the professional ranks. But this particular fight right here, I feel like she's been waiting for this just so she can prove that there is, not much that Savannah Marshall could do in the pro ranks to really compare to her.
Yeah, so Clarissa, from when I first signed her, she said, Dmitriy, make the biggest and the best fights. And the truth be told, we've tried to make the Savannah Marshall fight throughout the years, but she's changed different promoters. She was with Mayweather, then she was with Eddie. Now she's with Boxer and Matchroom and Mick Hennessy. So we never were able to do it. And then when we found out that Savannah was aligned with Sky, we reached out to them and quickly made the deal. Just to show you Clarissa's dedication to the fight game and to being the GOAT. She just fought in the UK in her last fight for the reason of finalizing the fight with Savannah Marshall. She just went over to Newcastle to watch Savannah's last fight. And she agreed to fight Savannah Marshall in the UK. Clarissa, being a superstar, an Olympic gold medalist, and undisputed champion, won this fight so badly that she's willing to go to the home country of Savannah Marshall to prove that she's the best. So that just shows you what kind of athlete, what kind of personality Clarissa is, to take on all challenges and all challengers to prove that she's the best and the GOAT once again. And like I said, this is going to be one of the most meaningful sporting events of 2022 and really of the decade. And in 10, 20 years from now, when Clarissa is going to retire, she's going to be mentioned along the lines of Muhammad Ali, Jackie Robinson, Pele, Michael Jordan, all the great athletes. And this is a very, very important, meaningful event. And we're just kind of crossing the T's and dotting the I's, and we'll hopefully have an announcement in the very near future.
Yeah, like you said, it's going to be a very, very big event, within the sport of boxing, not just women's boxing, but within the sport of boxing. And when you talk about those two, contrasts of the UK and the US, I've already, heard back and forth chatter already in reference to this particular fight, just right after, Savannah's last fight. So with it just continuing to build up and build up, when the actual fight happens, and you'll see, how big it really is. It, goes along the lines of what we're going to have at the end of this month with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. Now you're going to have Claressa Shields versus Savannah Marshall. That's going to, transcend the sport right there.
Definitely. One of the things that I do want to say is that Savannah had 63 wins as an amateur and had 0 knockouts. Not 1 knockout, 0 knockouts. As a professional, she's 12-0 with 10 knockouts. And her knockouts are really sensational and very explosive. And it looks like she's a really big power puncher. So, that's a big change from amateurs to the pros. And, makes you think about what kind of strength and conditioning she's doing. And, all the other things that surround getting ready for a fight. So it's very unusual to not have 1 knockout, not 1, as an amateur, and to be this powerful puncher as a pro. So we'll deal with it in an appropriate manner, but it is something that and it's all on BoxRec. Something that's very interesting, and certainly raised my eyebrow.
It's raising my eyebrow right now. I'm like, I didn't even really notice that. So I'm gonna have to look into that there a little bit more. But we'll move forward and
we can talk about our next interview.
yeah. So continuing here with like you said, you're there with Salita Promotions. You've had multiple fighters that have been active. We've kind of like seen you. I think it was you were involved with I think it was Jerry Forrest and George Arias in a way when they had their fights on I think it was Versus or Fight TV. But
Trilla. I'm not with Jerry. Mm-hmm.
Right. But like go into a little bit more about more of your guys that'll be in action here pretty soon, and also those fights that could be available later on the Salita Promotions YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe, y'all.
Of course, yes. So the Salita Promotion YouTube channel constantly gets updated with vintage classic fights, and the list goes on and on and on. We have so many videos, so you can just I don't even remember because there's just so many that we add every week. So you just have to go on and check out, and if you're a boxing fan, you'll spend too many hours there because they have so many great fights, so many great fighters at different levels and different stages of their careers. Really phenomenal that I even sometimes, as a boxing fan, get carried away with watching those fights. We have Otto Whalen, of course, who actually fought in the UK last month, 2 months ago, working on some significant form. George Arias, who you've mentioned, had a big win on Trilla December 2nd. Some significant for him, talking about heavyweights. Jermaine Franklin, undefeated American heavyweight, getting ready to come back. And of course, big baby himself, Jarrell Miller, currently in the UK with Tyson Fury, getting himself in shape, helping get Tyson Fury in shape, and working on something significant for him. Jarrell with 1-2 wins, I believe will be right back in the picture with all the big boys, and perhaps a fight with Anthony Joshua can happen in the not too distant future. So that's something that maybe even in the United States, we'll do a redo. So, very excited about those possibilities, and have a whole list of other fighters who are progressing and that we're excited about. And I think this is going to be a great year.
Yeah, gotcha. And you were saying there with two of the guys that you had, like with Jarrell Miller, he's like one of the more marketable athletes, out there, big baby, and we've seen what happened there in the press conference in Madison Square Garden with Anthony Joshua. And you've seen how he would be able to build up to the excitement of having him being ready or preparing for a fight. So having someone like Jarrell Miller getting back in the ring would definitely be a plus. And the thing, like you were talking about with gentleman George Arias, he had his big win there. And, I kind of like heard from a couple of other people that, he could have been set up for, a couple of fights or maybe a a fight that would have been in the near future, but they kind of like reconsidered it because George Arias is just a very tough, come forward fighter, giving people different looks. And, whether, around his height or taller, that, he just moves around so much that he'll frustrate a lot of the fighters that he's able to step into the ring against. So definitely,
Yes,
looking
exactly.
forward to those guys. Oh, you want to?
Yeah, he's awkward. He's skilled. He's in great condition. He's unusual size for heavyweight, but as we've seen, very effective and knows how to use that to his advantage. So very excited about George Arias and his future, which will have significant fights for him this year.
Gotcha. Now, is there like anything a little bit more here that you want to drop to the people before you step out? You was on the move, so we're gonna keep you going on the move there.
I appreciate it. No, I think we've covered everything. Boxing fans can sign up for our social media, Salita Promotions, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on YouTube, and same for Detroit Brawl on Instagram and on YouTube and on Facebook. And just follow the progress of different fighters and different events that we have coming up. But always great to be on. Thank you so much. And let's check in again in a couple of weeks.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll most definitely do that here in a couple of weeks. We'll get updates here from, of course, our guy, Dmitriy Salita, the president, the leader of Salita Promotions. We always thank you for joining us here in the Boxing Source, and we'll definitely be hearing from you here in the next few weeks.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.